Hello. So today we'll talk about why do we need the service. So when we deploy a backend deployment, so suppose it has three pods. So Kubernetes creates three pod, and each pod gets a random IP and a random life. So problem with pod is that the IP can change. If a pod crashes, then the pod gets a new IP where the front end was calling the older IP. So another problem is that multiple pods. So if we have three pods, now will the how will the front end know which IP to call, how to load balance, and front end cannot hardcode three IPs. And another third problem is of scaling. So if we scale from 3 to 10 pods, the IPs changes again and app cannot manually track all the pods. So to conclude, pods have dynamic IPs, they can restart anytime and cannot be accessed reliably. So there comes Kubernetes service. It gives us a stable IP, stable DNS and load balancing. So we can take a real example of a microservice where we have a front end, back end, and database service. So front end doesn't care about the pod IP, how the pod exists. It just calls the backend service, and then service handles load balancing, pod discovery, IP tracking. So pod is like a worker and service is like a manager. So manager knows all the workers, assign task and replaces worker if needed. So worker can change but manager stays stable. So very important thing is service is an abstraction layer. Without service, pod will talk to pod, which is not possible. So with service, pod will talk to service and service will talk to another pod. So apps never talk directly to pods. So a Kubernetes service provides a stable network identity and load balancing for a set of pods. Since pod IP are dynamic and change when the pod restarts, services ensures that application can reliably communicate without needing to track individual pod IP addresses. So if you want to check out about the node pod service, I have already explained in the one of the videos. Please check out that. Next, we'll see about cluster IP service and load balancer service.